Hey, welcome, and I hope you brought your wine glass because today is a little bit of a story time. For most people that I've talked to, a lot of people's journeys into learning about wine or getting into the wine industry tend to just be something that they fall into, and I'm no exception to that. So, thought I would share a little bit about how I got to be doing what I'm doing, and we'll get to know each other a little bit better. So, here we go. What's up, guys? I'm Kim. Thank you so much for being here. This channel is all about getting confident with wine, learning how to taste, and doing so by drinking. So that means that get your glass, fill it with something, hopefully wine, and while you're at it, please hit the subscribe button to come into the wine community, and also, tell a friend, because this is gonna be a lot of fun. All right, I'm really excited to share a little bit of my story with you so you can get to know me a little bit better. And this is also one of the first videos on my channel. So this is like, we're kicking it off. We're kicking off big. And another way we're gonna do that is be popping a bottle of champagne. So here we go. Ta-da! So today we have the Mesnil champagne. This is a Blanc de Blanc Grand Cru, and I will go over what all of this means at the very end when we do our wine tasting segment. But first I'm gonna get myself a little libations and then we'll get into story time. Okay, so now I could make it pop. I don't know if I want to because, champagne. So let's see. Come on. Okay, got the cap off. I'm just gonna rip it off. Woo! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. First up, fill up the glass and we'll get into some story time. Oh my gosh, look at how beautiful that is. Cheers, guys. Oh my God, it's so good. Okay. Oh, I can't wait to tell you about it. But first, story time. So my story about how I got into wine is one of those stories that I feel a lot of people face in their life where they're on a certain path and they feel it's not right, but they don't really know what to do next. And this was totally me. I can't say that I'm like perfectly knowing like exactly what I'm supposed to be doing now, but I can say that I know I'm on the right path for me. So I'm very excited. In the very beginning, my background in college was in interior design. It was a lot of fun. I loved it. And I've always been a creative and I always knew I wanted to do something creative. So I felt like interior design really fit that because it was a career that was creative, but also had some practical design elements to it, which I liked. And it wasn't until I got to senior year and my best friend was like, hey, like, let's just take this wine class as an extracurricular. Like, why not? And I was like, yeah, why not? Like, it's wine. We get to drink every Wednesday. Like, cool. So we signed up for that. And I, didn't really know what to expect, but I was like enraptured by the information. I was so like just deep into every class. Like, I barely took notes. And I barely studied and I did really well on the test. And that just really goes to show like how much I was so into the material. I just was like absorbing all of it. And so I really liked it. I mean, that was kind of my first probably hint into it, but I was still trying to graduate, get my interior design degree. So the wine, infatuation was just something that I kept to like, the weekends, right? I wasn't even imagining that it could be a career or anything for me because I was like going to school for something else. So yeah. So fast forward to graduating and I got my first job in Washington, D.C. And about 8 months into the job, I realized that it wasn't for me. I was doing consulting for interior design. It was for workspaces and it was great. Like I learned so much stuff and that's why I took the job in the first place. But I just had this feeling, I was like, I don't know, this doesn't totally feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I wasn't loving it. I really wanted to do some more creative work and it just, I don't know, it wasn't a fit. But with that job, I was also doing a 2-year professional development program. And so I had to stay there for at least 2 years. I was like, I wanted to because I wanted to get the most out of the experience and of course learn the most. And when you're new in a job, and I'll say this for all of the college people out there, like when you first graduate, your first job, it's going to be kind of tough. And it's not always going to be tough, but it's tough because you're getting into the real world. You're trying to figure out what you want to do, like who you are as an adult. And like when you're starting out in that new job, it might not be the dream job and that's okay. Like each job and each moment is another step towards something closer and what you're, really supposed to be doing in life. So with all that being said, I knew that I wanted to stay because I wanted to get all the experience that I could. And when I was there, my wine passion started coming back in, right? So I had more free time. I was like free on the weekends, free on the evenings. And so I just started learning more about wine. And during this time, I found a school that offers the WSET courses, which is the Wine and Spirits Education Trust. And I took the classes. And so, because I was just so excited, I was like, this is great. So I took level 2, passed it, took level 3, passed it. And then I was like, okay, cool. Like I've got this great wine knowledge. I love it. And basically what happened was like the more that I was doing with wine, the more things happened very easily and flowed for me in that area, which I think is always a sign that you're on the right path, right? Like I felt kind of stuck in my like career job and I was like, I don't know what to do next. But anytime I did stuff with wine, it always went really well. And one example of that was like, I I just was like showing up into this local wine shop really often. And randomly one day, one of the guys that worked there, they had like a bunch of wine salespeople. One of the people that worked there was like, hey, like you should just work here. And I was like, yeah, why not? Like I could do part-time. I could come after work. That'd be great. And he was like, yeah. So he like gave me his card and he was like, talk to the boss and like, blah, blah. And I was like, so lo and behold, I get hired for that job and I started doing part-time. It was Monday nights and Wednesday nights, which was a lot of fun. And so at that job, I was just helping people shop for wine, which was really fun because I was getting to put my knowledge into practice. Now, it wasn't always easy because I was a little nervous, like, oh my gosh, like, do I really know my stuff? You know, like you pass the test and all that, but you're like applying it, right? So, but it was great. I mean, it was just so great to get to meet people and chat about wine and be so immersed in the culture of wine and in the industry too. So good. So around the same time, I also wanted to start sharing wine with people because that's what you do when you have your passion, right? You just like share it with everyone. So I started doing some in-person tastings as happy hours for my coworkers, and it was so much fun. I even started a wine club at the company. It was like a wine tasting club. And I got like 4 different wines and we had a little tasting and there was cheese pairings with it. And it was just so fun. Like I left that first in-person tasting that I did and I felt so alive and just like happy and like just like exuberant joy. And I just knew like, oh my gosh, like I need to do something. I need to do this. Like I need to do something with wine and I need to do something where I'm interacting with people and sharing wine with people. Like that's it. So yeah, so that was like really the first moment that I was like, oh, this is what passion feels like about the work you're doing. And that was life-changing. But then I got a little stuck. So even though I had a lot of really good things going with wine at the time, I was still, you know, doing my interior design career because like that's what I went to school for. Like, and I just was like, I can't just leave this career because I don't like this one job, you know, and like move on to another one because I always feel that like, you know, one job doesn't define a whole career path, right? Like if you don't like your first job, it doesn't mean you can't keep doing the type of work that you were doing. Like because I didn't like this particular interior design job doesn't mean I couldn't find another one that I really enjoyed. So I was really torn because I was like, well, I should definitely look for something else in interior design because that's what I went to school for and I can't write off that whole career path just because I had one experience I didn't love, right? So just know that like all of those, any of those jobs that you have that you don't totally love, like they're all a learning experience and just keep going, right? So I kept working and starting to look for new jobs. You know, there was a lot of things going on in my life at this point where I was in a long distance relationship and like, would I move eventually? I don't know, all this kind of thing. And then the pandemic hit. And I was like, well, I guess I'm staying for a while because the 2-year mark hadn't even come up yet. So my thought was, well, I'll stay at this job until at least the pandemic ends and then I can find something else and it'll be good to go. So I kept plowing on with my work, plowing on with my job, you know, just really knowing that I got to put in a good effort because if I'm going to be looking for something new, I want to make sure that I have really good recommendations from the job I'm at. And I really loved the people that I worked with. So that was the other thing that really kept me there was like, love the people. I like, you know, the clients that we have. It's just like the work isn't quite my thing. Anyway, kept working. And then May 2020 rolled around and my life changed. I got laid off from my job. I believe that, you know, whatever you believe, God, the universe, whatever else, you know, insert your belief there. I believe that that entity can sometimes jump into people's lives and be like, no, like you need to be doing this thing, especially if you haven't had the courage to take the step yourself, right? So I was teetering on this edge of like, what am I going to do next? I don't know. And I just lost my job. And it really came out of nowhere. It was definitely a really big surprise. And in the moment that it was happening, I felt this like sense of calm in a way, like I was upset, right? I cried for sure. It was dramatic, but you know, I felt this sense of calm too at the same time. And I knew like, okay, like this is the time to really reassess what you want and, make a change if you need to. So after all of that happened, I reached back out to the wine shop that I had been working at part-time before. And during the pandemic, I wasn't there at all because I wasn't even in DC at the time. I was like with family. And I reached back out to the wine shop. I was hoping that they would be able to, take me on again. And they were. So it worked out really well. I definitely had to re-pitch myself a little bit. And I was like, hey, like I got a lot of skills. I can definitely do more than just box orders. I can do the website, all this kind of stuff. And that's how I got into the wine industry. So fast forward to today, and I am now living in San Diego. So I made the move across the country for my long distance relationship, and it's amazing. And I am now a wine educator, entertainer, and content creator, and I love it. I'm like still starting out, so there's so many moving parts. I really don't know what it's going to evolve into, and like who knows what life will bring, but I'm very excited. So I do the education part through, YouTube, of course. So thanks for tuning in. Also on Instagram, Together with Wine, and my website is togetherwithwine.com. So you can find me all over the place for some wine education and wine recommendations. And the entertainment piece is the virtual and in-person tastings that I do, which are truly such a joy. I love sharing wine with people in person or virtually. Like, it's just amazing. It's just so much fun. And last thing, of course, is content creation. I help wineries, breweries, any alcoholic beverage, any beverage in general, and wine shops and like liquor stores with getting really great imagery for their social channels and whatnot. And I still also do some part-time work for the wine shop I used to be at in DC, and I do their like marketing and like strategies. So it's a whole bunch of stuff right now. That's kind of what I got going on. And yeah, so that's how I did it. That's how I got into wine. Like I said, most people's journeys into wine, or probably even their passion, is usually a twisty, curvy kind of journey. But that's what makes it really beautiful. That's how you like pick up so many diverse skills and can bring them into your passion by not just going straight there, but by kind of, following the curvy path to get there. So, all right. Well, my glass is pretty much gone. So that means it's time for our wine review. So today I have a champagne, and it is a champagne because it comes from Champagne, France. So fun fact, if a sparkling wine does not come from Champagne, France, you can't call it champagne. So just so you know, don't worry, I'll do a whole video about sparkling wines soon. So this is a champagne from Mesnil, that is the producer, and it's a Blanc de Blanc Grand Cru. Let's break that down. So Blanc de Blanc is actually talking about the grape variety and the grapes that are in this wine. So you can make champagne with Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and a little bit of like Pinot Meunier. It's like another grape variety that sometimes gets thrown in there. And a Blanc de Blanc, what that means is that a sparkling white wine made with a white grape. So this is 100% Chardonnay. So anytime you see Blanc de Blanc champagne, it's 100% Chardonnay. And the Grand Cru piece is also really interesting and something to note because it really talks to the quality of the wine. So Grand Cru designates that the soil in their vineyard is really made to be producing high quality Chardonnay grapes, which leads to high quality wine, or in this case, champagne. So if you see Grand Cru on the label, that's always a good sign. That means that you've got some really great land that is going to be producing the grapes for this bottle. In total, there are 17 Grand Crus within Champagne, and just 7 of them are Blanc de Blanc Grand Crus. So this is a Blanc de Blanc Grand Cru, which is really cool and really special. And you know what the best part about this wine is? It was like only $40. Like, that is outstanding for like a wine of this quality. Like, I can't even tell you. Like, I know $40 for someone that isn't super into wine feels like a lot for a bottle, but I am telling you, like, I sometimes spend $80. I could go up to $100, right, for something really, really good, but like $40 for like a really nice champagne. I am on cloud 9 right now. So that being said, let's taste a little bit. Ooh. So I'm taking a sniff here. Now, when you're drinking sparkling wine, you don't need to swirl it because there's so much bubbles and effervescence coming up in the wine that actually gives you enough aromatics to smell. So something I love about Chardonnay as a grape variety in general is that it always comes across like apples. And so we're definitely getting a lot of apple aromas here, a little bit of lemon, and also a little bit of brioche. So it's really, really common in champagne to have a bready kind of aroma. And even you can have So it's really common to have some bready aromas in champagne, and that's just because there's a second fermentation that happens in the champagne bottle, and so those yeast were in there and they give off that bready, yeasty kind of smell. So that's why you get some of those bread aromas in the wine. You can also pick up sometimes a little bit of dairy that sometimes pops through as well. But for this one, it is just a super clean, refreshing smell. Like it's just like fresh apples and lemon and a little bit of like bread, like crispy brioche, like no, crispy croissant bread, like just like drinking this and smelling this is like biting into like the crispest apple you've ever had in your life. That's what it is. So, and when you're sipping it, a really fun thing to do, kind of slosh it around a little bit. It gives you a sense of the mousse. So how like the bubbles feel in your mouth. And I would say it's good, it's delicate, it's just delicious. And I would have this by itself because I don't want any food to like interfere with the flavors, but it would be really good with some appetizers as well. So that's it. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. It means a lot to have you here. As a bonus, I have left a link in the description of this video to get a Wine Aromas cheat sheet. So this will really help you get started on getting better at smelling aromas in wine. So go down there, get it at the link. Let me know if you love it and how you're using it. I can't wait to hear. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Please, if you learned something in this video, which I hope you did, give it a like. Also, hit that subscribe button because it just brings you into the wine community. And I would really love to hear from you. So please write in the comments, like share something about you so I can know who all is tuning into this because I'd really like to know who else is out there that likes wine as much as me. I don't know. I want to meet you. Anyway, have a lovely day and cheers.